Here we are in the midst of nature. Beautiful breeze, lake, sunshine. What more can you ask for? Life is good. So we spent some time walking barefoot, and this looks like a good place to do that. Just take our socks off, shoes off. This is one of the techniques I use when we have workshops and stuff. You know, we'll do long meditations. We did one for like a whole day long meditation, so from 7 to 7, 12 hours. And part of it we'll spend, you know, in the park walking, just in silence, but just communing with nature in that way. Listening to all the sound, feeling the connection to the earth, the breeze, the air, space, all these things all in one. It's a really good practice.
So, you know, every time I walk down this path, I will remember this and take off my shoes.
10 years ago, I interviewed 100 fascinating people and documented their stories in a 2-volume book series. Today, my journey continues. I'll be engaging with captivating guests, having candid, meaningful, and uncensored discussion as I aim to reveal the passion that comes from within, unlocking the mysteries needed to make purposeful change. My objective is to be a connector and enlighten listeners through stories of struggle and success, heartache and inspiration, offering solutions to challenges we face each and every day. This is a broadcast of real people, real stories, and real conversation. Everyone has a story. My job is to ensure their stories are told. My name is Roger Brooks. Inspired by Brian Rose of London Real and the London Real Academy and the Broadcast Yourself Accelerator course, I now bring you American Real. Welcome to our second episode of American Real, where this week my very special guest is Edmond Cotton, a 60-year young teacher of yoga who specializes in helpful breathing techniques, postures, and meditation. Born in Trinidad at the age of 15, Edmond moved to Brooklyn, New York, where upon entering college he became interested in mindful healing. Talk about elevating your peer group. This man is someone you want to get to know. He has deep-rooted philosophies and a stellar conviction. I took one of Edmond's yoga classes, which was both challenging and rewarding. In addition, we went on a nature hike, which was absolutely phenomenal. He had me in awe with his depth of knowledge. He had me doing breathing exercises. He even had me taking off my shoes, walking barefoot on the grass, which brought me back to my childhood. Our conversation was so uplifting that I'm delivering as much of that content to you before our actual sit-down in the studio. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Edmond. He lives a life of balance and has an infectious temperament. Now, if you like this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and share it with your friends. I want to thank my inner circle of family, friends, and colleagues who helped make all this possible. A special thanks goes out to our partners and sponsors, including Happy Socks, cool socks for fun people. If you don't have a pair, you need to get some. I'll be wearing Happy Socks every episode. Finally, debt of gratitude goes out to Brian Rose and the entire team at London Real and the London Real Academy. They have paved the way, setting a high bar, and I hope to make them proud. And now, without further ado, I bring to you Mr. Edmond Cotton.
essentially everything, you know, is the sounds that you hear that you don't normally hear. The running brooks. There's a wonderful poem from Shakespeare. It says, "This our lives, freed from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, sermons in stones, books in running brooks, and good in everything."
I like it.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Wow.
So in nature, that's what you kind of start to appreciate. And it's not anything that you have to do. It's just being here. You know, you get all of those good effects just naturally.
So we talked about water and fire and earth,
Mm-hmm. Air and space.
air and space.
It's kind of interesting. There's a whole section of the yogic tradition, and I guess it's not really yoga is part of it. It's called Ayurveda, and it has to do with longevity. And it's basically how to live a life that's long and also fulfilling and happy. It's basically the whole. And it says basically that everyone is made up of all these different elements, but in different ratios. So everybody has, you know, earth, water, fire, air, space, right? But it's in different ratios. So some people are more earthy, more grounded, you know, more solid, stable, like that. Some people, so they'll have more of that element. Other people are more like water, you know, flowing and, you know, able to contort, change the shapes, you know, like that, much more easily. Some people are fiery, right? Like your physiology, your psychology, everything. And some people are more of the air quality, and that's partially me.
I heard a discussion last week, and they were talking about the body is so much like the earth because the body's made up of 80% water, just as the earth is. Do you see that as well? Is it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's no difference. Everything in nature is made up, is kind of structured in the same way. So all of these different elements, you know, earth, water, fire, air, and space, have these qualities in them. So everything in that sense is quite similar. Within an atom, right? They say an atom is mostly space.
Right.
So yeah. And if you look at, and it's kind of, you know, similar, because if you look at an atom, it has these electrons, you know, rotating around it. It's just like the planets, with, you know, planets rotating around it. Pretty
Right.
much the same. Yeah.
It's really
Just the scale
fascinating.
in size, yeah.
Right. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about yoga.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Someone new getting into yoga, how do you describe it? What is it? Why should you do it? What are the benefits?
Let's start with the definition. Yoga means union. The word itself is defined as union, and it's basically the union or the harmonious integration of opposites. So we live in a world of duality. So for everything, there's an opposite to it, right? You have light, you have dark, you have up, you have down, you have hot and cold. All of these different opposites is what make up life. But a lot of the times they're not in a harmonious balance. So when they're out of balance, you're gonna have different kinds of experiences, right? Either positive or negative, however you wanna, you know, classify. But when they're in harmony, when they're in balance, then life goes in a much more harmonious way. Things function the way they're supposed to. For instance, in nature, if the rains fall in the right time, if the breezes blow and spread all the pollen and everything, then everything gets to blossom and grow and you have exactly, you know, the kind of environment you'd like. That's healthy and supporting. But if the rains don't come in time and, you know, the breezes don't blow right, or they blow too hard or whatever, then, you know, you have a lot of problems.
Right.
So it's all about balance. It's not so much of anything else that we need to worry about. What we want to do is have balance, and yoga that's the function that it provides, to give balance to your own experience, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, in every way, just to integrate everything so that life is more balanced for you. So yeah, for someone who's now getting into it, that would be a good reason to. Yeah, you want to have more balance in your life, more harmony. This will help.
Sure. And things we talked about in our conversation the other day, also some benefits of relieving stress, limiting anxiety.
Well, yeah, all of that is under the umbrella of harmony, right? Because if you feel good, then everything else will just flow more easily and effortlessly for you, more naturally, less stressful. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's your mission with yoga? Are you wanting to touch people one at a time to help and empower them to reach a higher level within?
Not so much to try and influence anybody else, but that happens naturally. Like we talked about, like everybody influences everybody else. Everything influences everything else, right? So that's not something that I have as a goal. But what I do want to do is to have the experience for myself in a very profound and permanent way, so that that teaching effect will happen just naturally, as it always is, as it always does.
So by doing that, you feel you'll be able to express to me through action.
Yeah, just from my presence, just from presence. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like a tree doesn't, for instance, you don't have to explain anything. It doesn't have to. You can't talk to the tree. Well, maybe. But just by being near it, you get some energy there, some influence. Or we're standing near this brook and the water is flowing, and there's some energy there. There's some beauty, even if you just look at it and find that it's a beautiful thing to look at, and it resonates within you. Then you're getting a benefit just by being present to it. Yoga it allows you to have that experience in a kind of conscious way, right? Typically we go about life very unconsciously, so that's all yoga does. It allows us to be a little bit more aware of what's going on around us and within us, especially within us.
Does it help us stay grounded?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually one of it's called evenness. Balance and evenness are like two of the the primary things that yoga provides. Balance, which means that you're not easily thrown off of what's normal and natural for you. And evenness means that all of the experiences in life, whether they're high or low, you take them in stride. You don't get flung too high, flung too low. You just sort of nice even pace. I guess partially naturally why I was so attracted to yoga in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of resonate with me. Mm-hmm.
Well, students that have been with you for a long time, maybe months, years, have you been able to see a difference in them, in their personality, and the improvement in their lives?
Not in their lives so much, but because people come to the class whenever they. So a few friends I do know personally, and a few students I do know personally, and kind of have been around for a while. But everybody's lives go up and down, so it's kind of hard to look on the outside and say, is it better? But I think in every case they're definitely more calm and able to, right? In my opinion, at least, much calmer, and that's kind of like, yeah, that's what we want.
Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the gentleman was mentioning that he feels yoga has been really commercialized, mm-hmm. and that the true benefits of yoga have been lost. Is that something that you hear of or you're aware of, or do you just really not pay attention and you're more into your own business and in your own students?
I mean, there's some truth to that. It definitely has been more commercialized, but that's a good thing. I mean, it's been pretty much restricted to the continent of India for thousands of years. So, I mean, now that it's being exposed to the world, I think that's a good thing, And yeah, it's kind of focused right now from a more physical perspective. People think, oh, this is a great way to work out or whatever. But even then, it's allowing people to be exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's serving a purpose, and it's fine. I have no
Okay.
problem with that.
And is that why you've incorporated some of your other techniques, the breathing, the stretching, the postures, the meditation?
Yeah, all of those are specific to yoga. So yeah, and they have benefits. There's a benefit to learning to breathe and practicing breathing exercises, especially because you breathe all the time. I mean, this is something that's essential for your life. So if there's, if we could find anything that would be helpful to that, then sure. It's just to be in nature. I mean, that alone is a meditation. So. One of the books I was telling you about is called The Ringing Cedars of Russia.
Mm-hmm.
The cedar has a lot of really beneficial qualities. Like we know, like closets, for instance, that are made out of cedar and stuff.
Right. Preserve and
preserve.
right.
Resistive to moths and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think biblically, there's lots of references to cedar.
Some of my favorites are frankincense,
Yeah.
myrrh.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about the oils when I put them on and just smell them throughout the day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it, and that's the part of the, So you're out in nature and you're getting to smell all these different fragrances. All the pollen and everything is there, and these are the things that help keep us alive and functioning, well. We spend some time walking barefoot, and this looks like a good place to do that if the terrain is not too uneven. Just take our socks off, shoes off, and walk barefoot.
So let me do it. Wow,
You feel the difference right away?
I do.
Yeah.
So just by walking on the grass.
Yeah. Yeah, you're connecting to nature in a very direct way. They actually have a name for it. It's called earthing.
Earthing.
Yeah.
And
In
it
addition
almost
to-
gives me the chills, like a good chill.
Yeah.
Almost like when you were a kid, running around in the grass. 'Cause
Exactly,
I haven't walked in the grass in a long time.
Exactly. This is one of the techniques I use for when we have workshops and stuff. We'll do long meditations.
Mm-hmm.
We did one for like a whole day long meditation, so from 7 to 7,
Mm-hmm.
12 hours. And part of it we'll spend, in the park walking, just in silence, but just communing with nature in that way. Listening to all the sounds, feeling the connection to the earth, the breeze, the air, space. It's a really good practice. Okay. And it's not really something that you'll find in a typical class, but yoga is a philosophy that really, like I said, by definition it means union, but in its highest sense it's union with the divine. So if you think of it, what we are really gods, having an earthly experience, having a human experience.
So each one of us are gods.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And we've forgotten, we've lost contact with that. But we have examples like Christ, for instance, who came back and was able to show, you know, a lot of examples of what it means to be a God, right?
And you're saying we have this energy within us.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Actually, you said that, right? There's no difference between you and me. It's just that, you know, he knows it and believes it. We don't. We've forgotten it, and we doubt it. So we can't have the experience that he has. But potentially, it's there. It's still there. We have everything that we need. We're already gods. It's just a matter of waking up to that.
And that's what you were referring to the other day when you kept saying, waking up.
Yeah. So that's what waking up really means. So here we are in the midst of nature. Beautiful breeze, lake, sunshine. What more can you ask for? Life is good. This is called the breath of fire.
Okay.
There's a couple of versions of it. One is a little bit more rigorous than the other, but breath of fire usually is the less vigorous one. But they're both energizing. And basically all we're doing will be to exhale in a vigorous way. So when we do that, we'll compress the abdominals, lifting the diaphragm and forcing all the air out. So it's a very cleansing for the whole respiratory system in that way. Now you can do it in a little less vigorous way. And you can follow that with some deep breaths.
What is truth?
Truth is that which doesn't change. And in this world, everything changes. So, what does that tell you? Everything that we totally involved in and totally, value or not value or whatever, it's all not true. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
But we need to be true to ourselves.
Yeah, but how can you be true to yourself unless you know who you are, right? The self that we think we are is not who we truly are. Like I said before, we are gods, and that I don't mean that in some kind of selfish kind of better than anybody else kind of way, but it's just true. That's the truth of who we are. But that's not what we experience. We experience ourselves as very limited, very, very human, very incomplete, if you will, right? So it's a lie, it's not true. Well, it means we have to learn to understand who we really are. We have to be true to that. And if we can be true to that, then our life experience will be a lot different. And that's really what yoga is really about. It's teaching us, reminding us of who we are. It's really not teaching us anything else. Because if we are gods, and we get to really understand that and know that in a real way, then what else is there to learn? Right? Now you know everything. It's kind of like if you're a king or the son of a king, a prince, let's say, and you get lost and forget, maybe you have an accident and you develop amnesia or something, and you forget who you are, right? And you go about thinking that maybe, okay, you're a beggar or something. The truth is that you're a prince. That's who you are, but you've forgotten, right? And then like that, we've forgotten who we are. One of the people I used to love, well, actually kind of like inspired, when I first started studying spirituality, really. Although kind of like it's been a lifelong thing, but still, one of the things that was inspiring along the way was listening to Joseph Campbell. And especially the interviews he had with Bill Moyers.
Okay.
Remember those?
I don't.
Oh, a fantastic set of information that he got before Joseph Campbell passed away. But yeah, those interviews were like, for me, he was like the best interviewer.
Where did you watch them at the time?
Oh, this was on public television.
I see.
Yeah, a PBS series that they had for.
So
he did many interviews with him.
We could probably find them on YouTube
Oh,
today.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, we'll post the names on this interview so people could look them up.
Because Joseph Campbell was a scholar who just really delved into the whole spirituality thing. Yeah, really great interview.
Oh, I can't wait to research him.
Yeah. It often reminded me of the in the Bhagavad Gita, which is sort of like the handbook on yoga. It's a story about the hero Arjuna is faced with a dilemma that seems it's impossible to solve. And he's a warrior. So the call for war comes, and he comes out to do battle, and he finds that the people he has to do battle with are his friends and relatives and cousins and stuff like that, and his teachers. Some of his teachers. So he's torn. He doesn't know what to do. How could I kill? I mean, I understand that I'm a warrior and I have to defend, the society from whatever dangers that it is attacking it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, how can I kill my family and friends and teachers and and so the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is really him presenting this dilemma to Krishna. Krishna is a avatar of God. So God comes down and basically answers the questions for him. So that's why that book is such a huge.
I see.
Yeah.
And what does he say? What does God tell him?
Well, basically he tells him like you gotta remember who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You got. This is the thing. If you remember who you are and you understand the oneness of life, like nothing ever really dies, things just change, right? You cut a tree down and you see growing from the roots of it or growing from the rod of it, you find a new tree is spawning, a new life is dawning. So enjoy the beauty, enjoy the thing. Do what you have to do, whatever it is that you have to do, your duty. Do that. Take care of your family, whatever it is. But, don't hold on to anything. Don't be too attached to anything. Because nothing here is permanent. Nothing here is actually real. Right? It's all just a dream almost. And when you wake up from this dream, everything is fine. Just like we wake up from any dream that we dream at night,
Right.
The minute you wake up, it doesn't matter how horrible the dream was.
How do I accomplish balance in the midst of chaos?
Well, the thing that we want to balance is the mind, right? Because if our minds are balanced, then everything else will flow. We don't want to try to do too much because then that will just add to the stress. So bring the mind to balance. So a few minutes of meditation when you wake up at 4 o'clock, that's really good, 4:30, whatever. You sit, you do some meditation. That brings your mind in balance to some degree, to whatever degree that it happens. We're not controlling anything. This is where you let go of all control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after meditation, okay, you pick up and you go about doing whatever it is that you need to do as calmly as you can, remembering the silence, remembering the peace that you just experienced, and just letting the day unfold for itself. Let it be a surprise. Let it be. The less we control, the easier things get. Remember, life is already operating and controlling everything, right? You don't have to worry about the earth taking care of itself. It pretty much does itself, right? The planets move about in a, coordinated way. The sun comes up, breeze blows. All of these things happen very naturally and effortlessly. We just reap the benefits of it.
We're just pushed so hard from a young age to go. And I'm just trying to find that balance where, okay, everyone has the same amount of time in a day. And I guess what you're saying, it's that it starts with the mind.
Yeah.
You have to balance your mind first before you could.
Yeah, because if your mind is not in balance, then everything you do is going to be whacked, right?
Right.
It's going to be degraded by that much, however.
But if I'm hearing you correctly, you're also saying really try not to do too many things at once. Don't, this buzzword multitask. Maybe it's not so good to multitask.
It's not good, no. We are serial creatures. We could only do one thing well at a time, one thing at a time.
So you're saying focus on that task, get it done, and then move on to the next task.
Yeah, or do it for whatever time you want, but do that one thing with full attention.
Well, no.
Switch. And
right. One of the things I see, especially in my work, whether it's colleagues or clients or other business people that I come into contact with on a daily basis, they seem to be preoccupied. So whether we're in a meeting or whether on the phone,
they're not focused.
They're not listening.
Yeah, exactly.
And the conversation is not productive because of that.
Right. Yeah, you do one thing at a time. Whatever it is that you're doing, give it your full attention.
But if I'm doing that and others aren't, is there anything you could do about that, or not really?
Well, you don't have control of yourself. Typically, we don't even have control of ourselves. So controlling another person is just totally ridiculous. So just focus on what you need to do. Do that and not mind anything else. Yeah, typically we tend to worry about what other people are doing too much.
Instead of focusing on ourselves.
Instead of focusing on what we do. Because again, like everything has an influence, right? So if somebody is kind of half paying attention to whatever it is, and you get triggered by that, then now nobody's paying attention. Because now the topic is on who is focused. Right? As opposed to whatever it is that you want to really actually focus on.
Right.
Well,
And
you might
hopefully-
influence that person to actually pay attention too. Right?
Good point.
Yeah. It goes both ways.
So I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to get frantic. I'm just going to stay calm. It'll all work out.
Be calm. Everything will go fine. Everything is already fine.
Right. Right. Well, that's just it, right? We tend, when I say we, I'm not including you, but we as humans, especially Americans, tend to really live by the clock. I know my wife's family in Italy, they don't live by the clock. They do their own thing. And they go home and they take a little nap in the afternoon, and they siesta. I think there's a lot to that.
It is, yeah. Life is happening the way it's happening, We're not in control of it.
Right.
So don't fool ourselves.
Don't try to control it, right?
Don't try to control it. Whatever happens is gonna happen when it's gonna happen, and just kind of like relax. That's why we focus so much on relaxation. We get too easily distracted, too easily stressed.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you again. I'll send you. Okay, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. This
Yeah.
is great. Great day.
Sweet.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.